This is Ken Makovsky, author of the blog My Three Cents, and I'm delighted to have with me as my guest today an important member of the New York Times, Paul Smurl, who is General Manager of Core Digital Products. What platforms are really growing the fastest in your opinion? Or maybe you have the metrics on it.
Yeah, so in terms of social and all, Facebook, Twitter continue to grow incredibly fast. But there are new platforms out there like Pinterest, obviously, Instagram, Tumblr. All of those platforms continue to grow at pretty amazing rates.
And how does the Times feel about that? I mean, how do you see those guys?
We think of them as, complementary players in the ecosystem. We certainly use Twitter as a distribution platform for our stories. It drives traffic to us. That's obviously true for Google and search, also true for Facebook. And so we consider these, complementary distribution platforms to help us build audience.
So how has the New York Times really deepened its relationship with its reader through social?
Well, we're active on almost every social platform you can imagine, but I'd say Twitter has been, by far the best for us in terms of creating a really immediate relationship between our journalists, reporters, columnists, editors, and the audience. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Twitter is very much a two-way street. You can really engage in a very immediate conversation about a story that's developing, questions that readers might want to have answered as part of that story, interesting leads and tidbits that get shared. So Twitter has been a very fast-growing part of both our referral traffic and a very important part of us building a relationship with readers.
And maybe this is kind of strange, but I always wonder if there's a competitive feeling within the Times on the digital versus the print, and how both management is dealing with that, and also how the journalists are dealing with that.
Yeah. I mean, we really think of ourselves as one company. I think there was this time historically where there was some natural tension between what was and is a very large part, the largest part of our business, and what is becoming the very fast growing kind of newer part of our business, being digital. But I think we've gotten over that and are largely focused on optimizing for the bottom line, EBITDA. That is one thing we can all agree we need to do to fund great journalism. And so you find that the company rallies around that and tries to find ways to continue to have a vibrant, thriving print franchise, as well as reduce cost in that area, and at the same time invest in the growth that we're seeing in digital, all to drive money to the bottom line and fund what is our core, our crown jewel, and that's the newsroom.
I take it the same reasons apply to the digital side as well as apply to the print side,
For sure.
that there's no dichotomy here in terms of why people come to the New York Times.
Not at all, no. In
And,
fact,
and what are the top 2-3 reasons why that is?
I mean, it's very consistent with our mission, which is people want to be well and reliably informed. They want to be part of a national and global conversation. They want to be involved in their community. And then a bit more selfishly, they want to be prepared for conversations they might have at work or at a cocktail party. And so, we're there to provide them a view on not only New York, the U.S., and the globe, but and not only news, but interesting features and human interest stories that you might not otherwise get.
What is there? Is there a dichotomy there, or how are the journalists adapting to the whole digital side?
Yeah,
and is everybody doing it? I mean, essentially.
Yeah, I think like with all, look, it's a 1,200 person newsroom, so it's a huge group collection of people. And as with all collections of people, there's going to be a normal distribution with some people out front, people like Nick Kristof, for example, who is very much on the bleeding edge in terms of use of Twitter and Facebook and social media tools and engaging his audience in that way. And so you're always going to have those folks that will sort of light a path or lead the way. And there will always be those folks who are sort of reluctantly dragged along. But I wouldn't say there's any stark dichotomy. I think we're all along the continuum, and there certainly is, top down, a real, belief and alignment around this idea that we need to embrace it. And, digital first is more than just a mantra. It really is something we are putting into action. And every journalist understands that. I feel for these folks because their jobs have never been more complicated.
I want to thank you very much, Paul, for being with us today. I really have enjoyed talking to you an awful lot.
Yeah.
And I want to thank the viewers and listeners for listening to My 3 Cents.